Hey everyone, it's Apurva. In this video, we're gonna add some gameplay elements to our game. It's gonna be interesting. So let's start. Hey guys, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to subscribe to get more videos like this. Anyways, let's get back to our video. So right now, first thing I want to do is I have noticed for a couple of episodes that my jumping system has some problems. Like sometimes it doesn't register the space button and the player doesn't jump, or it jumps not as much high as it should. So first thing first, we're gonna solve this problem. So what I'm going to do is open up Visual Studio and just change the way we check for input right now. So the way we're checking for input is fine for some games or fine for some systems, but in our case it just doesn't working. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I have here input.getKey down, so I'm just going to remove the down. So it's going to be input.getKey, and also clear out everything in parentheses, and I'm going to type keycode.space. It's the same as before, but it's a more efficient way of checking for input. And if I just now save the game and press play, you will see that problem is solved now. So right now what I'm going to do is make a simple level for our game. So I'm just going to shorten the platform a little bit, and in our assets folder I'm just going to drag and drop our platform. What it's going to do is it's going to make the platform a prefab. So a prefab is something that you use often in your game, such as obstacles or collectibles. You're gonna use this in multiple levels, and in one level you're going to use it multiple times. So it's much easier to make it a prefab, because if I just change something on prefab, it's gonna update in all of the objects. So if I just bump up the scale, you can see that all of the platform right now I have only 2, so the 2 platforms scale has changed. So it's much better to work with prefabs. You are going to work with prefabs a lot in your project. So I'm just going to make that, and right now I'm just going to create a simple level here by just duplicating the platforms, and the shortcut for this is Ctrl D. By selecting any object and pressing Ctrl D, duplicates the object in the scene view. So I'm just going to create a simple level here. And now if I just hit play and play the game, and make sure to bump up the speed a little bit, forward force, it already feels like a game. Another problem I'm seeing here is when I jump right now, the forward force kind of increases and it's hard to play. So at this stage, what we are doing right now is play testing the game. We're making sure that the game is fun to play, and if there are any bug or anything like that. So I have already found a bug here. So what I'm going to do is change the way we're adding forward force. So I'm in Visual Studio. What I'm going to do right now, just clear out the line where we're adding the forward force, and I'm just going to change it to rb.velocity. So we were adding force to our rigid body, but right now we are changing the velocity. It's gonna make the game a lot more smoother. So what I'm going to do is type rb.velocity is equal to new vector2 open and close parentheses, and in parentheses I'm going to type forward force, and make sure to multiply that with time.delta time. And for the y-axis I'm just going to type rb.velocity.y. It's gonna make sure that the velocity of the y remains as it is. So if I now just save the game, and I know for a fact that when working with velocity, 300 is a much larger number. So I'm just going to bump that down to 3 maybe, and press play. and maybe it's a lot slower, so maybe change the number to a higher number and see what works. I think 70 works fine, and yeah, it already feels like a game. Maybe in your case just bump up the forward force a little bit if it is feeling a little bit slower, or get it lower if it feels a lot faster. Right now we have a problem here, and that is when I jump, sometimes the player rotates and lands on its side, and it cannot jump anymore, because the way we are checking is we are checking for the we're checking in the bottom, and when the player lands on its side, it cannot, the boolean is grounded boolean is false and the player cannot jump. Maybe that's going to be a homework for you. Maybe solves the problem. When the player lands on his side, maybe the player will able to jump, just do this sort of things. And yeah, so this is going to be your homework. Just make sure no matter which side the player lands, the player can still jump. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. The next video is going to be very interesting, because we're going to take a look at Unity's UI system, and it's pretty interesting. So I have to see you in the next video. Until then, be safe, be happy.